Welcome to In the studio. We got my new co-host for today, Liam Schweisberg.
And just to be clear, I did not know I was going to be hosting this until about 40 minutes ago. Yeah. So here we are.
And our guest today is local Ottawa musician, Christine Jakel.
Hi.
So Christine, tell us a little bit about Christine. From the very start. Don't skip any details here.
So, I was born in Fort McMurray.
Oh.
No, I won't go that far back.
Okay.
What in particular would you like to know about me?
Wait, you're from Alberta?
Yeah.
I used to live in Alberta, yeah.
Well, tell me this. Riddle me this, Christine.
Okay.
When is it that you started playing music? When was the first time you picked up an instrument and you thought, this is what I want to do?
Well, I started just like dicking around when I was 5 on the piano. And my parents had to force me for like the first 5 years. They had to force me to practice. And then I sort of got into it myself. Yeah, and then I sort of continued with it through high school. And then I went to an art school. Like I always played piano growing up, classical piano. And then, in high school is when I started singing. I was a choir geek.
So around that same time then, you must have been listening to some artists that influenced you. Were there any artists that made you realize you wanted to kind of follow a similar sound or path? You know, any big influences? Well,
I gotta say, I was studying classical voice in university, and I didn't start thinking about writing my own songs until I started listening to Brandi Carlile, who a friend introduced me to. And I didn't really get into folk music until I started listening to her songs. And I listened to one of her songs and I just loved it. And then I listened to every single one of her albums and there wasn't a single song I didn't like. And I would just listen to it over and over and over again. And then keep being like, man, I wish I could write like this. The idea didn't finally occur to me until maybe third, fourth year university. I'll be like, you know what? Maybe I'll just try songwriting. Maybe I'll just try it. And then I was terrible for the first year and a bit. And then I sort of got better at it. But yeah, I would say Brandi Carlile is the main reason I started writing songs.
Here's a thing. This is definitely a thing, this next thing. I've often heard you compared to Joni Mitchell.
No way.
Is she an influence on you? Is that on purpose?
Best compliment. That makes me so happy.
When I first saw you, that's what I said. I was like, she sounds like Joni Mitchell. I love it.
Really?
Yeah.
Yay.
Are you a fan?
I'm a huge fan of Joni Mitchell. Actually, the first song I learned how to play on guitar was Big Yellow Taxi. And
nice.
That's probably the song that did it for me, just that I knew that I was going to start singing and being in music, I guess. And yeah, she was definitely a big influence. My dad was the one who told me I should check her out and check out her songs, and it was definitely a good decision. Yeah, Chelsea Morning, Big Yellow Taxi, A Case of You. Actually, just the whole Blue album.
Anything on blues are good at song.
Gives me all the feels.
You also like Van Morrison, correct? Because you do a great cover of a Sweet Thing by him.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was actually inspired to do that because of Hosier, because I was obsessed with Hosier, and he did a cover of that song, and I was like, damn, I have to cover this song. So I did.
Nice. Do you plan on seeing Hosier at Folk Fest?
Hell yes. When I found out that he was on the lineup, I literally screamed. I was like, oh my God. And then I texted my best friend in all caps. I was like, Hosier's coming to Folk Fest.
Do you know Ian and Sylvia, Ian Tyson and Sylvia?
No.
They're old Canadian folk artists. I didn't realize, but we were waiting for Father John Misty, and Ian was the one playing beforehand. He's this 80-year-old man, sitting down.
No way.
Remember that?
Yeah, he sang about cows.
Yeah, he sang about cows for a long time. Like an old country boy.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Just a country boy singing about cows.
It's amazing the music festivals that you go to and then you accidentally see an artist because you're waiting for another one, which is pretty
Would
nice.
you say, Christine, that you are just a country girl singing about cows? Is that how you would describe your career?
I've never really sung about cows.
Yeah,
I do appreciate cows. Yeah.
Sing about satellites and some moons.
Yeah, that's
some coffee.
True. Yeah, coffee.
Some clouds.
Cows are really a huge part of my reality right now.
Yeah.
I appreciate
stayed
cows
in Alberta?
That's true. When I'm on road trips and stuff, and I'm like, oh look, a cow. Yeah, but I have yet to write a song about cows.
It's like that tweet that's if you don't, when you pass by horses or cows and you don't point at them and you say horses, then you're a psychopath. It's an unwritten rule.
So
you have to point at horses and say horses.
And then if you don't, you're a psychopath.
Exactly. Yeah.
That makes so much sense, actually.
Yeah. Everyone does it, Yeah. If you don't do it, then I'm creeped out. So back to songwriting. Tell me, So when you started songwriting, were you proud of the first songs that you created?
No.
No.
I would just like hide them. And like, I was in a folk duo to start, so I would just sort of like hide behind.
What was it called? Grace Note?
Grace Note, yeah. It was with Charlotte. Charlotte isn't my Frank.
How long would you say it was until you started actually being proud of your songs and wanting to show them off to the world?
That's a good question. I started writing because I just like didn't want her to be pulling my weight, sort of like, and I sort of wanted to contribute to like writing songs for the band. And then I don't know, when like the first song I was proud of that I wrote was How Far. It's not recorded or anything. It was like 5 minutes long, sort of like Both Sides Now kind of vibe. That was like the first song I was kind of proud of. And
how would you say your songwriting has changed since then?
Well, I've definitely gotten a lot more creative with the guitar.
Some sick guitar solos in there, shredding.
Not solos.
I want some acoustic shredding from Christine Jakel.
maybe like riffs.
Oh yeah.
And I'm a big fan of hammer-ons, I gotta say.
They spice everything up a little.
I've never taken guitar lessons.
So you're all self-taught?
Just on guitar,
okay.
Yes. I just experiment and like play around until it sounds like something decent, and then I go with it.
So would you say the guitar is your main instrument of choice for writing?
For writing, I really like the vibe of it. There's like this dynamic when I sing with guitar. It's sort of more, I don't know, spiritual than any kind of other instrument. The piano is good too because it's my main instrument, and like it's a really good tool because I know so much of it. But like I sort of feel more pressure to perform well on the piano since I have like 10 years of education on it. Yeah.
If you mess up on the piano, it's like, what were all those lessons for?
Exactly.
For the guitar, it's like, hey, I did it myself.
Yeah.
You can't blame me.
I'm self-taught.
I do like though that at your shows you switch back and forth between piano and guitar. It's nice because it adds a little je ne sais quoi. You switch back and forth. Spice it up. I like that.
Cool. Thank you.
How do you decide which ones you want to play on the piano at the shows?
Well, I guess it depends on the feel of the song. Like, usually I'll hear like a chord progression or some kind of like melody in my head going with lyrics that I've written. I always start with lyrics.
You start with lyrics?
I always start with lyrics.
Interesting.
Yeah. I respect people who can just start with the music and then go with lyrics from there. Because that's, I don't know, for me it's really hard to do.
Right.
Well, like,
do you ever like get a melody and then you have to use that melody, or is it just always lyrics first?
It's always lyrics mostly.
Yeah,
like,
really?
and then I get really excited about the lyrics, and then that's what motivates me to find a melody and a riff and chords to go with it. Like I build it around the lyrics.
I do really respect writing the lyrics first because, then you have a clear message of what you want to say. When you're writing the music first, it could go anywhere because, you have to fit the lyrics into the song you've already created. How do you go about turning those lyrics into a melody? Do you just kind of fiddle around on the instrument?
I don't know. It's like I'll write the lyrics with the flexibility for, like having a general idea of where I want the song to go and keeping in mind that I might have to change them to sort of like fit with the music and like vice versa. And like sometimes I'll just like sit down with the guitar and come up with lyrics on the spot and like see what would go well with like this pattern or this progression. And I don't want to have like a rigid idea of what I used to do that. I used to have like a rigid idea of what I wanted
you get, like, set in
the
your
lyrics
ways.
to be. So I have to remember to keep the lyrics more like flexible.
It can be like changed up if we need it to be, kind of thing.
Yeah, I feel like surprisingly as an artist, it's difficult to remember that it's your song and that you can change it in any way you want.
Yeah.
You get to some places where, the song's written, you're like, that's the song. Once the song's finished, that's it. But then if you don't like a part,
You can just change it.
you can just change it. It's your song. It's yours to completely change however you want. So tell us, where does that lyric writing happen? Where's like your zone to create?
Anywhere.
Anywhere?
I'll do it on the bus.
Okay.
Like rarely will I be like, okay, I'm writing now. It'll just happen, and I'll be like, okay, I have to write this down, and it'll be like just anywhere, like in a grocery store. Sometimes I will force myself to like sit down and write, but it's mostly when I'm trying to bring home a song idea and to be like, okay, this has been floating around long enough. I got to sit down and finish this. That's when I force.
I feel like if you force yourself to write, you're not going to have that same creative energy behind it because you're like sitting down and like, okay, I need to write now.
Yeah.
Whereas like if you're just like, oh, I got an idea now, you can go do it, and then you're like, oh, this is more natural, more kind of just came to me rather than being like.
The less forced it is, the better.
There's something to be said
being.
about the magic of a song that came about on its own, that you didn't extract from your mind forcefully.
Yeah.
It just came out, you had the thought, you had to write it down.
Yeah.
And that was it.
There's a good like story from like Tom Waits where he's in traffic and he's like talking about how a song came to him, and he's like, I can't write it down. I'm in the middle of LA traffic. So even though he's alone in the car. He starts talking to like the song. He's like, all right, if you want to be written, come back to me later. Cause I can't write you down now. He's like talking to the song. Just so he's like,
You listen here, buddy.
you gotta do like the really gruff, like Tom Waits voice where you gotta like scratch or drink
If I was
whiskey.
a song and Tom Waits was talking to me, I'd probably
Like, okay, yeah, sure. I don't
exactly.
stab me in a dark alley.
I figure like when song ideas come to me and like I think of a melody and I don't put too much pressure on myself to remember it because I'm like, if it came to me once, it'll come to me again.
Yeah.
I find it so strange that you write the lyrics first because your songs are so melodic. I don't know. There's something about that. So you have an EP out right now.
Yes.
How did you choose those songs to be on that EP?
And not Storm Clouds.
Oh yeah.
Where it is.
You guys are so mad at me for that, aren't you?
When Storm Clouds wasn't on that EP, I was like,
and I even said it was going to be. I even said it was going to be, and I lied.
We weren't sure it was on it. We go to your EP like debut, and we're like, she's gonna play Storm Cloud, right? And then you didn't. I mean,
well, no, I think she played.
She played it, but we were like, is it gonna be on the EP? And then I go home, download it. I'm like, God, no.
I'm so sorry.
Ruined our nights, ruined our lives. But it's gonna be out soon.
It's gonna be out.
Okay.
Yeah. The way I sort of chose them was I started with the song Satellite Moons because I really liked the idea behind the song. Like I was working with Dean, who was producing it also and recording it. We'd done a video of it with Shot in the Dark. And he was like, this is a really cool song. I think we could take this places. And then we sort of started experimenting with it with like a full band and like some synths and just like production and stuff. And then it sort of started going like in an alt rock kind of direction. And yeah, so we took more of the, I don't know, the rowdier songs rather than the singer-songwriter kind of acoustic songs. So we went with, Satellite Moons, Victims of Habit, which was, I think Victims of Habit was very Mother inspired.
Oh my God, I love Mother.
One of your favorite bands.
I was listening to them a lot. I'm glad you like Mother.
So
Yeah, I
good.
feel
One of
like
my
we've
favorites.
bonded over this before.
Yeah, I've seen them 7 times. Just
Oh my
put that out
gosh,
there.
I've never seen them live. I
I've seen
really
them
want to
once.
see them live.
My friend who I took to your EP release, he's like, isn't a moon just a satellite though?
Yeah, it is kind of redundant.
But it sounds better this way.
It does.
It sounds more poetic.
Yeah, I like the title.
Tell us where that title came from.
Actually, tell us about the song. What's the meaning behind it?
Well, there's a couple of things that influenced it, I guess. I had started a master's degree in musicology. And one of the classes that I really enjoyed in my degree was my gender and sexuality class in 20th century music. So basically we had a research project and we were free to do anything, like any kind of like 20th century music, and it could have been like any genre. So I ended up doing mine on women in rock and then like zeroing in on Janis Joplin. But like,
nice.
I was just reading about women in rock and like Girls to the Front and Riot Girl and all that kind of stuff, and I was reading about them and being like, I don't really want to be reading about this. This is what I want to be doing right now.
Yeah.
So I decided to quit that, and I wrote the song shortly before that. So I guess Satellite Moons is like, it's about creating your own opportunities instead of waiting for them to come with you. Because like at the time, going into a master's degree seemed like the safer route because like somebody recruited me, and I was like, oh. I guess I could just go this way. I have a nice comfy TA ship and like, but then I realized I was spending most of my time writing songs and practicing them than I was actually doing research. So I was like, there's really no point doing this anymore. And that's when I wrote Satellite Moons. Yeah.
So shifting gears here a bit, on the topic of self-promotion, do you manage your own social media? Do you have the final say in that, or is there someone consulting?
Yeah, no, I definitely call my own shots on that one. I wouldn't say I'm a pro at using it. I'm just kind of trying stuff and seeing what works, seeing what sticks. The motto they go by at Willow Sound is create, capture, connect. So you create the song, you capture it by recording, and then you connect it to people. So I got the first 2 down.
Yeah,
it's just the
that
connecting part.
Yeah.
That is, it's important because you have to pay to get yourself to shows, right, and connect to people that way. So it's, I don't know, you have to. I'm not very good at using the internet, but I don't think that I'm trying.
So a big part of your life would be coffee, is that correct?
Yes.
And you have a song about coffee.
Yes, I do. It all started when I started working as a barista.
Not just any coffee, it's your morning coffee.
Like the rest of the coffees are also equally important. The morning coffee is probably the most important. It's the first thing I do.
Was that inspired by your barista job?
Yes, definitely. I was just I was working at Bridgehead, and I was just around coffee most of the time. So it was like only normal that like inspiration would strike in the middle of a coffee shop. And then like it's so like, I don't know, you're so like going through the motions as a barista, where like you sort of can go on autopilot, and then my brain and sort of is free to come up with like lyrics and melodies and yeah, so that's where a lot of morning coffee was created.
So is it true you do not like fine wine?
Well, I'll take it if someone offers it to me, like gladly, sure. I got a perk one time. I played at a vineyard, and that's actually where that lyric came from a little bit as well. It was like wine was in my brain, and it was on the brain, and I was playing with my friend, and they gave us each like a free $30 bottle of wine. It was very good. Yeah, it was Kin Vineyard. It's just like in Carp.
You mentioned before that you were on the Shot in the Dark sessions. Can you tell us about that? How was that experience?
It was so much fun.
As I understand, it's like a bunch of artists get together and then you all perform for each other, and then it's all recorded. And how was that? Tell us about that.
It was a really cool vibe. I just got to meet so many people that way, and it was my first like video and recording experience ever. So I was super nervous because everybody seemed so legit and like cool, and yeah, so I like the first couple sessions I went to, like Dean invited me. He was like, yeah, just come check it out. And I was like, okay, cool. And I was there, and I was so wowed. I'm like, everyone seems so cool here. I feel so out of place. And
but you killed it.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Now you have a great clip to show for
Thank
it.
you.
Was it cold?
It was the night I performed, yes.
It was like in a barn, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was in a barn.
I remember watching, I see like everyone's breath. I was like, where are they?
It makes for a nice shot.
It does. It really does.
It was really cool. Like that you had the smoke machines and you could see everyone's breath, and like it was chilly. Yeah.
Yeah. How long did it last for? Like the entire session?
It was like 4 or 5 hours.
Jeez.
Wow.
Was
Yeah.
it like, how many songs did everyone perform? Like 1, 2?
One each.
Okay.
One each.
How many takes did you get?
3, about 3, and then they took the best of it and like spliced it together.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Nice.
Yeah, it was. Mine was. I felt really exposed because mine was completely unplugged. Like they didn't amplify me. Like Dean
The rest
sort
were
of,
like bands?
Yeah, they were bands and with amplification, like making a lot of noise. And then that was just me with my acoustic guitar.
That fits though. For
I know,
a barn?
I like it with the barn, yeah.
That works perfectly. So you know what? You were the one that was right.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say anyone else was wrong. They were really cool too. Yeah, I really enjoyed listening to everyone, but like I felt really exposed because I don't know, I could barely hear myself back, and it was just like me and my guitar singing, dead silence. Everyone was listening, which is cool, like to know that people are listening, but it's
a
also
good
like,
feeling
oh
and a
my
terrifying
God.
feeling.
Yeah.
It was so terrifying, but I'm really glad with what came of it. It was really cool, and now I have a cool video to show for it.
So speaking of like Shot in the Dark and local bands, two questions.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite Ottawa-based artist?
Oh my gosh, so many local bands. Trails is a big inspiration for me, and just her music is so powerful, and her songwriting is just so free, and yeah, she's a huge inspiration. Female singer-songwriters, probably Julie Corrigan, Katrina Sturton, Kelsey Hayes, Jessica Pearson in the East Wind. Such a fun time to listen to. Oh my gosh. There's so many. And I love them all.
What do you think of the music scene itself in Ottawa? Like, do you enjoy the music scene here, or do you think there's
Is it a positive atmosphere?
Because I've noticed,
Definitely.
we talked to Gland about this. They're like, well, because I mentioned there's a lot of punk and metal in the music, like Ottawa, and like a lot of grunge. Do you feel like folk and other like singer-songwriters and even pop is kind of like lacking in the city, or is it just like not as to the forefront, you think, maybe? Or
Definitely not. I think there's a lot of really good folk singer-songwriters out there. You just gotta find them. Yeah, so like
hidden.
Yeah,
true.
live on Elgin, open mic, you'll find a bunch of really, really good ones that's like less known, but really, really good. And I don't think it's lacking at all.
Okay,
There's a lot of good ones out there.
Touring.
Yeah.
Can you see yourself touring anytime soon?
Well, I've sort of been using the strategy where because of work, it's hard to take time off work. I just sort of play in a different like town, city every other weekend. Like I play in Ottawa regularly, but I also try to branch out, and like I've played in Brockville recently, Kingston. I played a show in Guelph last weekend, and sort of
I saw your Instagram post when you went to Guelph. You played at Chocolat Fabry.
yeah, I did.
Oh, I saw that too.
It was so much fun. Like free ice cream. The
No,
free
nice.
ice cream was worth the 8-hour bus ride.
Oh my
I
God.
gotta say. That place is next level ice cream.
There's one in Orleans.
I won't disagree.
Yeah. It's so good. And they have like different toppings, and like they take the soft serve cone and they like dip it in chocolate, and then they put like all sorts of ridiculous toppings on it. Oh my God.
Was there actually like a designated place to perform, or did they just like push aside some chairs?
They didn't have a designated place, but it was on their patio, and they like cleared a little corner for me, and it was perfect weather. It was like just as the sun was setting, and like there was a nice breeze. It was still really warm and humid, but it was like bearable.
I love that. Just like shows in strange places. I don't know.
What's the one that you played that was like really strange?
I don't know.
You told me there was a show you played and you're just like a weird... Ask a Punk.
Oh, that's a basement. You never heard of Ask a Punk?
No.
Oh, that's just a basement. That's a sketchy house show.
Hopefully no cops watch this show.
That's like a rite of passage for an Ottawa musician.
Don't tell your dad. Don't tell your dad about Ask a Punk.
We cannot give away the address. What's like your dream show?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Dream show.
Dream show.
Okay, wait.
Dream venue.
Yeah, no.
Dream.
Wait. I'll add to this question. Like tour dates. You get a tour across Canada. Pick your destinations.
I mean,
Top
that's
5.
easy.
Oh God.
That's just like Vancouver, Montreal, Ottawa, Toronto. I don't know.
Like you get like a packed house, but like where would you think it'd be cool to play besides like the main like stages? You know?
I think I don't know. My favorite kinds of shows are like the more intimate kinds. So like I just really love playing in cafes and like live music bars because they're small. It doesn't take a lot to fill the room, and you can actually talk to people.
Yeah.
So I really like that kind of show. So I think like I want to start doing house concerts.
Ooh.
I think that'd be really fun in like cities like Montreal and like even like the small obscure ones that no one's heard about. Like
So you're saying your dream show is not at Madison Square Garden?
Madison Square, sure. Like I'll take it if that ever happens. But
I'm not
like
a fan of arena shows.
No.
Like, but I saw who was it? It was Blue Rodeo, and I was like, why are they doing an arena show? Like, sure, they're big enough
Why
for
not?
it. They're big enough for it, but like,
Let them do what they want to do.
I know, but I'm just like, the NAC would have been better for them.
Fair.
Oh,
You know
yeah,
what?
the
The
NAC
NAC
is
is
nice.
that's a dream show
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah, the fourth stage would be awesome. I gotta say, I would love to play it in the fourth
Yeah.
Yeah,
stage.
the NAC is like such a beautiful area.
It's so
It's
so
so
nice
nice.
now that they've like renovated
Oh, yeah,
everything.
it's
It's like
super
they've got
nice.
tents and it's all like trendy and stuff. And
They had that cloud thing.
yeah,
That would be perfect. You have your release show
Oh,
under
yeah.
the cloud.
that's true. I
this
actually
is
know
it.
one of
Use
the
this.
artists who was like behind that.
That's awesome.
The cloud thing in the main lobby
Yeah.
there. Yeah, that's really cool. I think Laura Toller helped with that in some way. But
Cool. You usually play solo shows, but for your EP release, you did have the full band.
Mm-hmm.
Can you see yourself continuing down that path, doing the full band shows in the future if you like have the budget and the time, or do you want to keep doing solo shows?
I like both kinds of shows for different reasons. I like the vibe of the full band because you can just like rock it out and like get people on board and like people dance and it gets rowdy and it's fun and stuff. Like I covered Florence and the Machine with the band last time and it was really fun to do. I also like solo shows because I like the feeling of being self-reliant.
It's nice. You can just take your guitar and then
Yeah.
like
Exactly.
you're set.
You get set up and like also organizing full band shows is like it's a lot of work and a lot of money and then
So is that the only one you've played? The only full band show you've played, or have you
no,
done
I've played
multiple?
a few. Like there was the EP release, there was one at Pressed, there was one at Black Squirrel Books.
That's a great venue, honestly.
I love Black Squirrel. It's so
Cozy.
great.
It really is.
And I've sort of just been playing solo since that. Oh, there was one at Backdrop and one at Bar Robo too. So we did a few full band ones and then I sort of went back to doing solo, just sort of dial back on like, because I got busy, I guess.
Yeah.
But I would see myself probably playing with a full band for another project and like doing that again for like bigger.
Watch out for
caliber
Christine
shows.
Jakel
Yeah.
at Madison Square Garden with the full band.
It's not that hard to sell at Madison Square Garden, like, just because New York City is so
Okay,
big.
go do it.
No, like, wait, hear me out. Like, as in, New York City is so densely populated, so many people go to their shows anyways. Like, if you like, oh, I'm only going to sell half the theater, they'll close off like half the theater.
I feel like just getting the show is the first step.
Oh, yeah.
Well, if you're playing at Madison Square Gardens, then like people are
are gonna know you.
People
Yeah.
are gonna want to go see.
And it's so close to like New Jersey and other states too, so people can just come right over.
Very true.
That's why I'm kind of jealous about the states, is that everything's so close together. You can easily just play like a couple shows, like
That's
and
true.
like cover like 4 states in like one little area.
Have you ever played in the States? Do you have a visa?
I've never played in the States. No, I've been to the States a couple times, but never played there. It's a crazy place right now.
Big question here.
Yeah.
Christine, what is your message, as an artist,
Ooh.
what are
Oh,
you trying to
gosh.
tell the world with your voice that you are using?
I'm not trying to tell anything. I'm just sort of trying to connect with people through like human experiences, I guess. Like I write about things that I've lived, and I'm starting to write about like, I don't know, stories that people have told me. And I just want to, I guess, create like songs that I just want to, create songs that are artistic and like that create a certain like imagery and that also connect people. I don't,
I mean, that's
I wouldn't say.
that's really all you could ask for as an artist. You know what?
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Oh, thanks.
Do you have any closing remarks? Anything you'd like to mention about yourself? Anything?
Plug your Instagram, plug your album, plug everything.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll be releasing a new single, Storm Clouds. It's a song that's really close to my heart, and it's been kicking around for like a year now.
Our personal favorite.
Yeah.
Aw,
Great
thanks. Yeah, it's it'll be very simple, just acoustic, some harmonies, and
Is it going to be a single or is it going to be on an EP eventually too?
it's going to be a single for now. I'm trying to work towards a full-length album, so maybe it'll be part of that at some point.
When do you see this full length coming to fruition?
Good question. Well, honestly, I'm starting to be more selective about my song ideas and to just sort of like craft my songs a little bit more and to put more effort into crafting my songs. So I'm taking more time with my songs. So I think like I'm aiming for 2 years, I think, but like I don't want to force anything or rush anything. And that's I think what I'm aiming for.
You could never rush a recording because once that's out there, it's out there forever.
Yeah.
You got to take your time because, if you put it out there and you're not happy with it, you're always going to regret that. Although I was talking to a friend about that actually, and he was like, well, that's just like everything, man. Once you say something, it's out there forever. And I was like, oh no. Oh God, you're right.
Anything you tweet, anything you put on Facebook, it's always out there.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh God, what a terrifying world.
The internet knows all.
There's a good quote about music where it's like, it's not what you put in, it's what you leave out.
Not
such
always.
a weird like thing.
I don't know about that completely.
I like it. I like
Yeah.
it, but it's like the stuff that you kind of like improvise. Or
Just
it's like,
release
I can do
3 minutes of silence as a
Do it.
track. Be like,
People
yeah,
have
it's
done
what
that.
I didn't put in.
People have done that. It's so dumb, but people have done that.
Do you plan on doing this?
Seriously?
Is that part of your artistic vision?
Well, I hadn't thought about it before, but now that you mention it.
You know what? Full length album? Silence. There you go.
Or just like your opening and closing tracks just be
Oh my
silence.
gosh, this is a revolutionary
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah.
The Neighborhood have a song called A Moment of Silence.
Oh,
At the
God.
start of their album. It's literally just 30 seconds of silence.
So dumb.
So that's art.
No, it's not.
But yeah, I think like when it comes to thinking about putting stuff out there, like you'll never get up perfect. I think at some point you have to call it and just be like, this is as good as it's going to get and it's not perfect, but I'm going to release it.
As long as you appreciate
As
it.
long as you are happy with it. Yeah. Because like, I think you can only redo something so many times without it changing completely. So like, you have to at some point be like, okay, this is a finished thing.
Yeah.
Instead of like, just like drawing it out for ages and ages.
Do you have any stories of songs you've redone over and over again?
Yeah. Yeah, I have a couple songs kicking around that I'm still not completely happy with, and then like they're done, but I'm just not happy with them anymore, and like I don't know what to do with them, like and decides to rewrite them completely. Yeah.
Hopefully they'll see the light of day someday.
Yeah, so one last question before we go, because we're connecting to another podcast. Mixed drinks, do you have a favorite cocktail or anything?
Oh, my go-to is probably just G&T.
Ah, classic.
Yeah.
They're all G&T.
Good
Good old
time.
G&T.
Yeah.
If you want to make it fancy, you could go for like rose flavored stuff.
All right.
I don't know. So yeah, I've tried that before. Stuff's dope.
Oh, you like that one at Bar Robo with the Coke and wine?
Oh yeah, have you had that one? The one where it's like red wine, Coke,
and vanilla bitters.
No.
It's weird. But
I
it's good.
definitely have to try
It's
that
at
next
Bar
time
Robo.
I'm
My
there.
friend, she was like, it just makes your mouth dry. But he loves it.
It's the cheapest drink on the menu,
Oh,
so
yeah.
you can't go wrong.
I'll give it a try. I have a show there coming up,
Yeah.
so I will give that a try. Yeah.
Well, it was great to have you on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. This was fun.
Thank you so
Fun
much.
chat.
Yeah, thanks, Liam, for co
Yeah, this was my first one.
Holy cow.
Yeah, and see you guys
All right.
later.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.